Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the My GPC podcast. I'm your host, Jada.
And I'm your host, Ian.
How are you doing today, Ian?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm okay. I had a good weekend, so, feeling good. But how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling all right. The weather is taking a toll on my mental health, but I'm okay.
Oh, yeah, I understand that. Like, whenever it rains, it always takes a toll on my mental health, also. But I was just checking because this week's episode is all about mental health. We're excited to finally do this much awaited masterclass on mental health. Over the past year, our podcast host and producer have been asking our guests the question, how do you take care of your mental health while you're in school? And today, we're bringing you their answers.
Together, we'll be listening to 5 clips from interviews with past guests and discussing what we think about their mental health tips. We haven't listened to these yet, as they've just been prepared by our producer. So we're excited to hear what everyone has to say. So, should we get into it?
Yes, we should.
Okay, the first clip here we have is an interview with brand designer student Nina Hidaka. So, let's give it a listen and hear what she has to say.
Okay, so since we have a lot of assignment, I had a time that I was actually burnout. And if that happened, it's really hard to manage your mental health. But I sometimes like to go out and take a break, maybe go for a walk.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to spend like all day like hanging out with your friends, but like just go out and spend time with your family and your pets or with your friends. That kind of little thing,
Mhm.
it just give me good motivation to keep my work. We have like 14 weeks for one semester. It's not short term, it's actually pretty long. And if you're working on one project, sometimes you're stuck, sometimes you're so stressful. I will listen to music, I will go for a walk, I will chat with my friends, and if I really stress out, I will just say to my families and my friends so that they might sometimes give me a good advice, or sometimes just like expressing your feeling is really important for yourself too. So I
Mhm.
guess that is the thing that I'm going to do, like when I feel burned out.
For sure, yeah.
I think that that's actually very important as well to kind of make time for your own personal life.
Yeah.
You need to have a work-life balance, even with school. She was right with the 14 week. It's quite long. It's very
Yeah.
relentless, especially at the end of the term where there's constant assignments and
So
constant
that.
ongoing stuff. Yeah, it just gets overwhelming. I don't know how you felt about it, but I felt like I just needed help. I would ask help a lot.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I don't know how you felt in that scenario.
For me, I think what she was saying with the taking breaks and like, going for a walk, I guess spacing things out and just not like trying to overload your day with doing everything with no breaks. Like I would go for a walk to kind of clear my head. And I wouldn't spend the whole day outside, but just maybe 15 minutes, even 30 if you have to, and then just come back and then get back to it. I feel like my mind was more refreshed and then I could just do things with a fresh mind. And like that helped me stay productive and like just balance everything.
Yeah, just stay like fresh.
Yeah. Okay, the next clip we have queued up is from an interview with Jillian Butler, who works in George Brown's research and innovation department. Let's hear what she had to say as a staff member and former student.
I think this is a very good question, very topical. I think the way that I approach this on a personal level is that, first of all, I try to carve out a small part of every day for myself, whether that's going for a walk, getting a little workout, working on one of my many hobbies, or honestly, just taking time. I think another big part of that, I think it looks different for everyone. And I think another big part of this is allowing yourself grace. So allowing patience and peace, and that you can't do everything all at once. And especially when you're working at it's a very fast paced environment that I work in, that, you can't do everything simultaneously, and that allowing yourself grace, allowing yourself to focus on this one thing that's in front of you, and the other things will be taken care of, but just giving yourself that grace to exist. That might be a little cerebral, but it makes sense to me.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. Giving yourself grace to exist, because like even though we're students in school and maybe like she is a staff member, we have work to do and like our responsibilities, like we're also still just humans. And like in order to make any of that happen, like you have to give yourself grace. You have to like pour into your own cup before you can like do anything else. So I think it's great what she's saying with giving yourself grace, and giving yourself, carving out a portion of your day for just you is very important, because I feel like then what is this all for? You're just like working, 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 but you need to give yourself some time too to, have a break and just enjoy and relax.
Yeah, and just like trust yourself. Like it will happen. It will be done one way or another. Like if you want to take a break, don't feel like you're gonna fall behind in any way.
Right?
Trust in
Yeah.
yourself. Everything kind of works out in the way that you manifest it and make it want to work out. Think positively, work towards your goals, and I feel like you'd be able to achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, this next clip is from an interview with Black Student Success Network coordinator Abisola Asha. Let's hear what she has to say.
Time management is such an effective tool. Like, maybe for 10 minutes on one day, you decide that you're always gonna, just go on a walk. 10 minutes, you think you're gonna study, 10 minutes, you think you're just gonna watch a movie on Netflix. So I think time management is the best tool, and like actually sometimes physically writing it out to see it. So you know that, okay, from 10 to 1 today, I'm gonna go on a walk or go to the gym, or I'm just gonna, read a book or listen to music. 3 to 6, I'll attend my classes. So I believe that's a very good way to support mental health. And also just understanding that you're a student, we're all navigating through this together and you're not alone in your journey. Being a student is quite challenging as you're battling and juggling many things all at once, but just never be afraid to ask for help and just take it one step at a time.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that, taking breaks for yourself is kind of tying into what we just spoke about, but it's very different to everyone. I think in a previous clip as well, somebody mentioned where it might look like a walk or it might look like video games for somebody else.
Mhm.
Kind of understanding your body's, how charged it is or how much you have to give. Same thing to what
Yeah.
you said earlier, like pour water into your own cup before you can help anybody else.
Yeah, exactly. And going back to what you said as well, Ian, you said asking for help. Like that's what you did when you were bombarded with assignments and due dates. Like you just asked for help, which is like what we should do. And like as students at George Brown, we do have resources where we can ask for help, and nice staff and teachers like that are actually there to support you. So we should utilize everything that's available to us, and not think we have to do this all on ourselves. And time management really ties into everything, because that's something I need to work on, but I feel
Yeah.
like it's just giving yourself timestamps of what you need to do. Okay, so the next clip is a longer one, but it's from an episode that's all about mental health for international students in particular. One of the guests was an international student, Lindsay Nguyen, who had lots of helpful insights for international students and maybe even domestic students too. Let's hear what she had to say.
So there's some tips that I took myself and I practice it every single day, and it helped me a lot, to adapt with the culture, finding friends, and make a living in Canada to become my second home. So first one is beside friends at school, maybe going out for different activities and environment like sports, gym, arts, music, and then find your interest, maybe something that you want to do, and try to connect with your talent and connect with people in the same level of energy. We have the same topic, same thing to talk about. Make that circle bigger so that you have a bigger community, just not friends at school. Open that connection. And the second one is be open-minded for any cultural experience. Try new things, invite friends to your culture, festival, on events. The things coming up is the Lunar New Year, which is a big thing for South Asia. And the things that I actually planned for it is I'm gonna invite my friends to Vietnamese restaurants. We're playing some games, some very traditional games, and enjoying Vietnamese food, exchange the culture with my friends. So, and the last one is everything about yourself, self-healing, living independent. It's great. It's great time for you to focus on yourself and to do whatever you want. Like no one can control you right now. So try to go back with yourself. Don't spend all of the time for other people. Maybe at least one day. Like for me, I spend my Saturday just for myself, doing whatever I like. I go to the gym, reading book, and then writing journals, listening to music. Whatever I do is to kind of like the things that I want. At least spend some time for yourself, doing whatever you love, and it's just you in your time zone, and you don't have to like you lock that time down and make it yourself. So I think the self-healing is very important. Oh, I mean, to wrap up everything up, I think like, come back to yourself, taking care of your well-being. Just try to talk more. The more you talk, and the problem can be somehow solved. Talk to peer mentor sport at school, or talk to someone that you trust. Talk with your friends, with your professor, to the people that you feeling like they can understand you. To talk with them and release those stress out of yourself, out of your mind. And or if you like kind of like an introvert person, I recommend you writing journal. I'm not an introvert, to be honest, but it's helped a lot. Either you extrovert or introvert, writing journal about yourself, about what you think and feel like, it's helped a lot for you to clear your mind. And it's a great way. It's the same thing like you talk with someone, you write something down.
Lindsay said a lot of really important stuff. I think that connecting with each other through different cultures kind of bonds you guys, especially as an international student where you don't know many people here, or you might not know kind of where everything is. Making those connections that are fundamentally based on your guys' culture and how you guys mesh together also builds like tranquility between you guys, so that then you guys like have a safe space to kind of ask for help or kind of communicate certain struggles that you're going through. Maybe they struggle with it as well, and you guys can kind of help each other build yourselves up from that area. I think that is really very, very important, especially if you're somewhere new.
Yeah, that's true. Like connecting with your community, I feel like it makes a difference and like it changes your overall experience as a student. Like going through like student life alone and going through student life with close friends that you've made a bond with, like I feel like it plays a difference. And your friends can also like help you, motivate you, keep you accountable, and you can like even make your schedule the same with your friends so that you guys have some classes together. So, you guys can work together during your stuff. Like I think it helps.
Yeah.
Also, I'd like to add that journaling is also something I do as well, just to like get my thoughts out and like put how I feel on paper, because sometimes it's all boggled up in my mind and I just need to like let it out. And then like I'll read it back and then it will just help me. And also looking back at old journals helps me look back at my progress to see like the things that I used to say that I was stressed about maybe a couple months ago. It's like, oh, but I do that now and everything's fine. So journaling is definitely a tip that I do too. And it helps me for sure with my mental health.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the last clip is a simple tip from an interview with dance student Jackson Young. Here it is.
Me personally, the biggest thing that I do for my mental health is sleep. And not just sleep. Sleep is a part of it, but rest. Like resting is very important, especially like in this line of education, just because like a lot can come at you at once. So it's really important to just make sure that you set time aside just for yourself. Like my life doesn't have to be entirely based on dance.
Right.
I can still rest and do the things that I like to do that's not including dance.
As an advocate for sleep, I totally agree with him. I love sleep. It's the best way to recharge. It's the best. Your body needs it. Your body craves it. Like you need to do it. It's the best way to kind of clear your mind, put your body in like a state that it's in relaxation, not have the constant anxiety or angst that you're doing something wrong or missing on something. A lot of the time you are not. And when you sleep, you have the clarity in the next day that it's like, okay, it was not that big of a deal. Or it gives you that 12-hour window where your brain kind of resets and calms down.
Yeah, for sure. Sleeping is definitely my recharge, my go-to. When everything is too heavy, it's okay. I just need a little nap, because a little nap it just helps recharge your energy and gets you back. And also what he was saying with like who he isn't just dance. There's other parts to him. And like, being able to recharge and like, step away from your profession is good sometimes. Like that doesn't have to be your identity. Just because you're good at something doesn't mean it's like that's all who you are. And that's something that I'm learning as well, because I feel like I have like multiple commitments. So it's like my identity isn't just into one thing. So yeah, I like what he was saying with that. Like just knowing that your identity isn't just in one thing.
Yeah, you exist outside of what you do.
Exactly, for sure, for sure. Okay, so that's it for our roundup of mental health tips from past guests on the podcast. What a great overview. I feel like there was a lot of different approaches and a lot of common ideas too. I hope it has given all of you listening some ideas and some reassurance that there are options and you are not alone.
And don't forget, if you're feeling really lost, there is professional help available through George Brown College Counseling Services. There you can speak to individual counselors or join a mental health group to find community around similar issues with other students. All George Brown Counseling Services are free, by the way. To connect with them, you can either go to our counseling webpage or email letstalk@georgebrown.ca. We'll put those details in our show notes.
We hope you take good care of yourselves and don't forget to take time to connect with others as well. You're doing a great job at getting through this semester. We look forward to talking to you next time. Bye.
Bye.